operatives to help remove bodies and debris. And in the early hours, just local villagers were shown in photos just walking around and looking at this amazing sight that was before them. So all of that is what you would call pollution of the scene, pollution of a crime scene. And of course, a certain amount must be done because you have to remove the bodies. But what is being said is because this was not handled in a formal way, because they were not able to send in additional skilled workers, that the site was really badly damaged in terms of its investigation potential by all these volunteers. And in addition, there are charges that the rebels, perhaps some Russian officials who went in, perhaps it's alleged, also tampered with the evidence, removed things that might have shown culpability, and perhaps manufactured evidence, put other things down. So there's lots of concern about what's gone on out there since last Thursday.
And it does seem like the Ukrainian government does not have the capacity to handle a situation like this, where you'd expect that a plane crashes and you have emergency services already at the site. But so far, all we've heard are, blames being traded back and forth between President Vladimir Putin and Petro Poroshenko of Ukraine. But there were many other nationalities on that plane, represented on that plane, who died in that crash. What's the Ukrainian government saying to them? Not just the Dutch governments, but the British, all the other countries represented in that crash.
Well, to your first point, I think we'll actually never know now whether the Ukrainian emergency services and perhaps the Ukrainian military could have handled this situation. They certainly would have done better if they had been able to send in reinforcements and extra help from other parts of the country, which they were not able to do. So that's really the problem. In terms of what Ukraine is saying to the other nationalities, all the nationalities that had victims on the plane are represented on the investigation commission, which Ukraine was leading and which they've now turned over the lead in that investigation to the Dutch, because they had the most people on the plane. They have better facilities in Holland to identify the bodies. And I think also, as I told you yesterday, because making the Dutch the leaders of the investigation made it more palatable for the separatists to turn over the bodies of the victims to this investigation led by the Dutch, not by the Ukrainians. So I think that's what's going on.
Al, thank you so much for throwing more light on this issue. You've been in Kiev for a while now. We do hope that we'll be able to get more from you in the coming days, and we do hope the Ukrainian government does get its act together and that investigations are begun in earnest. Thanks a lot. Al Person is the VOA correspondent. He's in the Ukrainian capital, Kiev. We'll take a break now. When we come back, Nigeria's President, Goodluck Jonathan, finally meets with parents of the Chibok schoolgirls. Please join us again. Welcome back. Now to a very interesting development here in Nigeria. President Goodluck Jonathan has reassured Nigerians and the Chibok community of the government's determination to ensure that the girls that are still in captivity are brought out alive. That's the outcome of a special presidential meeting held with the parents of the Chibok girls in the presidential villa, Abuja. Well, speaking to State House correspondents after that meeting, the special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Dr. Reuben Abati, said the president empathized with the girls and their parents and reassured them that everything will be done to cater to the needs of the already scared girls and others still in captivity. The president assured them that their education will not be allowed to suffer.
At long last, the special meeting between President Goodluck Jonathan and the parents of the abducted Chibok girls has taken place. Venue was the banquet hall of the presidential villa. 4 Abuja mass transit buses were used to convey them from their hotel into the presidential villa. The school principal led the visitors, followed by the 51 girls who escaped from the camp of the Boko Haram terrorists. The next bus pulled by, this time carrying the parents of the Chibok girls. They alighted and made straight to the banquet hall where the meeting with the president took place. The next bus is also filled with the parents of the missing girls. They also joined the meeting with Mr. President. Into the hall proper, the escaped girls were meant to sit together. About 51 of them, parents of the girls still in captivity, sat at the one end. Parents of the escaped girls were together, while the community and opinion leaders who are not direct parents of the girls also sat together. President Jonathan joined them at about 11:15 a.m. to kickstart the special meeting. The president came in with the governor of Borno and Bauchi states, the Senate president, ministers of education, finance, information, and other key officials in the Goodluck Jonathan administration, including security personnel. Journalists were barred from the meeting at this point.
In the meantime, here's some news that that's quite eerie, as it is brow-raising. 8 people from a Tanzanian medical institute have been arrested after 85 bags containing body parts were found in the port city of Dar es Salaam. Human limbs, fingers, ribs and skulls were in the bags, which were discovered in a landfill site in the Bunju suburb. Some of the bags contained surgical instruments and used disposable gloves. It was indeed a shock to discover, such as Dar es Salaam is usually a very quiet city. However, the city police chief, Sulaiman Skova, did confirm that those arrested have links to the city's Institute of Medical and Training University. Suspicion was raised after a truck repeatedly dumped black plastic bags weighing approximately 25 kilograms each, and as you can tell, at this point, those suspicions were confirmed. Now, the world celebrated Mandela Day last Friday, 1 year since the demise of the late freedom icon. For many South Africans, it was a time for community service, one of the values propagated by the Nelson Mandela Foundation. But one of his friends in Nigeria also reminisces on his life and passion for South Africa's freedom.
Of one man, one vote. They want political independence.
They certainly don't come like that anymore. Nelson Mandela was a rare man with a rare passion, at least for his country. One man who got to see this passion and the other side of him was his host in Nigeria, Chief Mbazulike Amechi. A man Nigeria's first president, Nnamdi Azikiwe, believed could handle the task of providing a safe haven for the late Nelson Mandela when he needed to hide from the South African apartheid regime.
Well, the British intelligence service and the South African intelligence service, they knew that he was here. But I was then a parliamentary secretary and member of parliament. And there was nothing they could do about that. So they looked the other way. And he lived free with me. We moved about, even came to this village from Lagos at weekends and so forth. Until after about 6 months, he started getting worried. He said, look, comrade, staying away from South Africa does not help the cause of the nationalists, the African National Congress. Why, I think I should better go back to South Africa. 2 things will happen. They will either kill me or send me to prison. Whichever they do will give more inspiration to the nationalists to continue the struggle rather than my staying away in Nigeria. That makes me look like a coward. And I say, comrade, I think that is a national